Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala asyrafil anbiya'i wal mursalin wa ala alihi washabihi ajma'in. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for allocating your time on our forum. We are here to listen for a few opinions on rules of occupational safety and regulation in the workplace. Okay, let us think about this. Occupational safety and health, OSH, is a good for business as well as being a legal and social obligation. Enterprise appreciate that OSH prevent people from being harmed or made ill through work, but it is also an essential part of a successful business. Okay, we are so proud to be here today to share and gain knowledge more about role of occupational safety and health regulation in the workplace. With our panels, uh, Mr. Zulkarnain, Mr. Zarif, and Mr. Hafiz Johari. Okay, first, Mr. Zarif, what is your opinion? In your opinion, what is the Safety and Health Act in Malaysia?
All right, thank you, Mr. Hisham. I will answer that question with some fact about the Safety and Health Act in Malaysia. Safety and Health Act in Malaysia is an act to make a further provisions for securing the safety, health, and welfare of persons at work, for protecting others against risk to safety or health in connection with the activities of person at work, to establish the National Council for Occupational Safety and Health, and for matter connected therewith.
Okay, thank you for the answer, Mr. Zarif. Okay, now let's moving on, Mr. Zulkarnain. Okay, what do you think is the purpose of the Occupational Safety and Health Act 1994?
Okay, first and foremost, I would like to thank the moderator, Mr. Hisham, for inviting me to deliver some benefit information on our forum today. And a very good afternoon to Mr. Zari and Mr. Hafiz as well. In my opinion, the purpose of Occupational Safety and Health Act (OSHA) was enacted in February 25th, 1994, with the intent to ensure the safety, health, and also the welfare of all persons in all place of work.
So, Mr. Zulkarnain, what is the
Yeah.
main regulation? What is the main health and safety regulation?
Okay. There are actually main regulation of Occupational Safety Work and Health Act. First is the Management of Health and Safety at Work Regulation 1999, also known as Management Reg. This come into effect in 1993. The main employer duties under the regulation include of making assessment of risk to the health and the safety of its workplace, and to act upon the risk that they identify so as to reduce them. In this case, we refer this on Regulation 3, appointing competent person, to oversee the workplace health and safety, and providing the workers with the information and training on occupational training safety, and also operating the written health and the safety policy. Okay, secondly, the Workplace of the Health, Safety and Welfare Regulation 1992. The main provision of this regulation is required employee to provide an adequate lighting, heating, ventilation, and also workplace, and also, of course, keep them in clean condition. Staff facility, including toilets, washing facility, refreshment, and a safety passageway, like to prevent slipping and tripping hazard. The next is the safety and the health and safety display screen equipment regulation 1992. The main provision here apply to display the screen equipment DSE user defined as workers who habitually use a computer as a significant part of their normal work life. This includes people who are regular use of DSE equipment or rely as it on part of their job. This covers you if you use DSE for an hour or more continuously and or you are making daily use of DSE. The Personal Protective Equipment at Work Regulation 1992. The main provision required the employee to ensure that suitable personal protective equipment (PPE) is provided free of charge wherever there are risks to health and safety that cannot be adequately controlled in any way. The PPE also must be suitable for the risks in the question and include protection face, mask, goggle, safety helmet, glove, air filter, ear defender, overall, and the protective footwear, and provide information, training, and also instruction on the use of the said equipment. Next, we'll be focused on the Manual Handling Operation Regulation 1992, which is to avoid the need of employee to undertake any manual handling activity involving risk of injury. Make assessment of manually handling risk and try to reduce the risk of injury. The assessment should consider the task, the load, and also the individual personal characteristics such as physical strength, and provide the worker with information on the weight of each load. After that, we will look at the report of injuries, disease, and the dangerous occurrence regulation 1995. Under this regulation, the employee are required to report a wide range of work-related incidents, injuries, and disease to the Health of Safety Executive (HSE) or to the nearest local authority, Environmental Health Department. The regulation require an employee to record an accident book, the date and the time of the incident, the detail of the person that is affected, the nature of their injury and condition, their occupation, the place where the event occurred, and a brief note on what exactly happened there. And lastly, the working time regulation 1998. This regulation implement two European Union derivative on the organization of working time and the employment of the young worker, which is under 18 and below. The regulation cover the right to an annual leave and to have rest break, and they are limit the length of the working in weeks.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Zulkarnain. This is a really brilliant idea from you and response. Okay, now we will move on with the topic, with Mr. Hafiz. Okay, Mr. Hafiz. Firstly, how are you today? And based on your opinion, what is the difference between OSHA, and FMA? And who is responsible for the safety and health of workers in the workplace?
Thank you very much for the question, Mr. Hisham, as our moderator today. I'm very much fun in this day, and thank you for asking. For the first question, the difference between OSHA and occupational safety, and for the first question, the difference between OSHA and admission, sorry. For the first question, the difference between OSHA, the Occupational Safety and Health Administration, and FMA, the Factories and Machineries Act, OSHA 1994, is supported by regulation, code of practice, and guideline to further clarify the previous revision in the Act. Under the FMA 1967, emphasis was on safety, while with the OSHA 1994, there has been equal emphasis on addressing health hazards in the workplace. And for the second question about the responsibility for the safety and health on a worker, uh, in the workplace. Under the Oshe law, the employers have a responsibility to provide a safe workplace. This is short summary of a key employer responsibility. Provide a workplace free from serious recognized hazard and comply with the standard rule and regulation issued under the OSH Act. That all from me. Back to the moderator. Mike.
Sorry. Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Hafiz Johari. Okay, we will go back to Mr. Zarif. Okay, Mr. Zarif, based on your opinion, can you name first the element of the effectiveness safety culture?
Thank you, Mr. Isham. And a good safety culture actually can be promoted by senior management commitment to safety, realistic practice for handling hazard, continuous organizational learning, and care and concern for hazard share across the workforce. There are 5 elements for the safety culture based on my opinion. First, is the responsibility. Company with strong safety culture share the value of responsibility. By responsibility, I mean the shared belief that each individual is morally and ethically bound to act responsibly for the good for his fellow employees, his company, and society as a whole. Until every person in your organization believes this, you will struggle with creating a safety culture. Secondly, there is accountability. Manager must be held accountable to lead by example each and every day. Managers and supervisors need to understand that their behavior influences everyone around them. Upper management needs to hold these individuals accountable to safety and not look to other way as long as production goals are being met. After that, there is a clear expectation, which is a safety expectation need to be set and communicated to everyone in the organization. The commitment to achieving these goals need to be demonstrated from the top down. Only when the rank and file employees see this commitment will we start to change. Ethics, which ethically driven management system are important in developing a strong safety culture. The goal is for employees to make decisions that not only satisfy the procedures in the safety manual, but that are also ethical and moral. The individuals you hire for your company should have ability to make ethical and rational decisions in every situation, and also share your company's core values. Hiring the right people with the right attitude goes a long way toward the creating a strong safety culture. And lastly, the next step is a safety perception survey can help you evaluate your company's safety culture in the way to determine the areas for improvement.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Zarif. Okay, Mr. Zulkarnain. Okay, based on your opinion, what is employer responsibility?
Okay, thank you for this question. In my opinion, employer's responsibility is the act or place a general duty to ensure so far as it is reasonably practicable the health, safety and welfare of at work of all of their employees. Employers must comply the act and must provide and maintain the safety equipment and safe system of work and ensure the material they are used are properly stored, handled and used and transport. They also need to provide information and training Also instruction and supervision to ensure that all the staff are aware of the instruction provided by the manufacturers and the supply of the equipment, provide a safe place of employment, provide a safe working environment, provide a written safety policy or risk assessment, look after the health and the safety of the other. For example, the public talk to safety representative and of an employer is forbidden to charge his or her employees for any measure which he or she is required to provide in the interest of health and safety. For example, personal protective equipment that we mentioned earlier, or also known as PPE.
Okay, brilliant answer by Mr. Zulkarnain. That was a very informative answer. Okay, now we will go to Mr. Hafiz. Okay, Mr. Hafiz, what actually is the risk and hazard?
Okay, actually the word risk and hazard are often used interchangeably. However, if you are responsible for managing the health and safety in your workplace, it is important that you understand the difference between them.
Okay. Uh, okay, can you please classify the categories of hazard?
There are six main category of hazard. Biological hazard include a virus, bacteria, insect, animal, and that can cause a adverse health impact. For example, mold, blood, and other bodily fluids, harmful plant, sewage, dust, and vitamin. Chemical hazard are hazardous substance that can cause harm. This hazard can result in the both health and physical impact such as a skin irritation, respiratory system irritation, blindness, and corrosion and explosion. Physical hazard are environmental factor that can harm an employer without necessarily touching them, including height, noises, radiation, and pressure. Safety, there's hazard that can create a unsafe working condition. For example, exposed wire or a damaged carpet might result in the tripping hazard. There are sometimes include under the category of a physical hazard. Uh, ergonomic Ergonomic is a hazard the result of a physical factor that can result in the musculoskeletal injury. For example, a poor workstation setup in a office, poor posture, and manual handling. Psychosocial or psychohazard include those that can have a adverse effect on an employer mental health and or well-being. For example, sexual harassment and victimization, stress, and workplace violence.
Okay, thank you for all the answer. Okay, next we will be discussing an interesting topic, which is related to OSH and management. As we all know, occupational safety and health, or known as OSH, is an interdisciplinary activity concerned with the prevention of occupational risk inherent to each work activity. Okay, the main aim is the promotion and maintenance of the highest degree of safety and health at work. Okay, therefore, creating condition to avoid the occurrence of work accident and ill health. OSH encompasses the social, mental, and physical well-being of workers, which means OSH not only avoiding work accident or occupational disease, but the result of taking action to identify the cause of hazard uh, existent at workplace and the implementation of adequate preventive OSH control measure. So, Mr. Zarif, what do you know about business management actually?
All right, basically, for my knowledge, business management is one of the most important role in a company because it held the responsibility of managing administrative tasks for a business. So a business manager is expected to assist with its marketing program and also perform a budget analysis in order to find out ways that the company can cut costs. A business manager also should have an astute and understanding of accounting, marketing, and also administrative procedures that are required in order to run a business.
Okay, thank you for the answer, Mr. Zarif. Okay, Mr. Zulkarnain, what do you think is one of the role of OSH legal requirement in business management?
As we know, OSH already prepared 54 guidelines which cover nearly all working sector except for the person that working on that board on the ship or and the armed force. This means that business management is no exception for this all 54 guidelines. The employer are responsible for making sure that their working place are free from any risk and danger in order to protect their employees from any incident. The employer are obliged to constantly guarantee a better level of protection of workers' both health and safety and aim at a permanent improvement of working condition. This means that the employers have to keep themselves informed with the latest development and the state of art of technology improvement and workplace design. They also have to develop a prevention policy that cover all the aspect of safety and health at work.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Zulkarnain. Okay, Mr. Hafiz, what do you think an employer need to do in order to fulfill his legal responsibility for the safety and health of the worker?
Alright, there are several steps that an employer can follow in order to perfectly carry out their responsibility for their workers. But some of the important carry out safety and health risk assessment at the workplace in the company and provide the documentation of the result. These include the obligation of the implementing preventing preventive measure based on the result of the risk assessment. Employer also need to inform the worker about the safety and health risks as well as about educate measure of protection and prevention while provide appropriate safety and health training measure and ensure that each worker can participate in accordance to the rule laid down in Act 12, which declare that the training must take place on a recruitment in the event of a transfer or a change of job in the event of the introduction of a new work equipment or a change in equipment in the event of the introduction of any new technology.
I see. So about this topic as well, Mr. Zarif, do you have anything that you want to add in this topic?
All right, let me see. I think the employer need to make sure that all of their employees know how to take care of themselves in case of emergency response such as evacuation procedures, firefighting, and also medical services. Employers also need to ensure that health surveillance of the workers in accordance with the national laws on occupational medical services. In any case, the employer must ensure that the designated workers or service provider have the required capabilities, which means resources, expertise, and information to successfully organize and carry out with the design prevention measure, because it is possible for the employers to be accused for organizational negligence, thus being charged that could be sustained with respect to personal responsibilities as per the national rules in penal or tort law if the employer does not comply with these provisions.
Okay, thank you for the addition, Mr. Zarif. Mr. Hafiz, what else do you think the role of Oshe legal requirement in business management, other than that being said by Mr. Zulkarnain before, because the policy of Osh said that the top management of the organization shall provide leadership and commitment in protecting the safety and health of all the member of the organization and the others who may be affected by the work carried out.
Well, in that context, the top from business management need to ensure that their service or product that they are released does not bring any harm of any form to the end user. As Mr. Zarish mentioned earlier, one of the business manager job is to perform budget analysis and cut the spending costs in order to save the company money. But there are costs that cannot easily cut without any proper reason and investigation, such as the production cost. There are a lot of case of business management of a company minimize the cost of their production by using the cheap material or reducing the quantity of material used. For example, there are cases where construction reduce the amount of cement used in order to reduce the total material cost. This is unethical and also can cause harm to the resident of the building after the building is fully constructed due to possibility of collapse.
Uh, uh, that really can be disaster if not be handled properly, Mr. Uh, uh, is if not be handled properly. Okay, Mr. Zulkarnain, how do you think we can prevent this kind of tragedy from happening? Sorry, Mr. Zulkarnain, your mic is off.
Okay, sorry. Okay, if we took example that I've given by Mr. Hafiz, the most easiest and the practical way is that the person that are managed for this project need to frequently review the total of money used throughout this project, and regularly meeting with the business manager in order to keep in track about the total usage of the project money. uh, he need to know exactly how much the raw material that they will be need to use before the construction start, and continue supervising where the money and material are used in order to prevent any dishonesty throughout the construction project.
Okay, thank you for all our panels, for all the answer and suggestion. It seems like our discussion for this evening has come to an end. I'm taking this time to ask Mr. Zarif, is there any one final thought about this forum?
Thank you, Mr. Hisham, for this chance given. I think that all the employers need to step up and realize and that they have a big responsibilities of making sure that all the employees that working under them are always in a safe environment in order to show the employees that their support on OSH and that the employer shall have the duty to ensure the safety and health of the workers in every aspect related to the work.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Zarif. How about you, Mr. Zulkarnain?
Okay, for me, I think that all the employers need to know that not only their employers are their responsibility, but they are also obliged to produce services or products which will not cause harm to the user, because that will betray uh, the user's trust for their company. And this will not only causing damage to the company's name, but also can cause the company to fall into bankruptcy.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Zulkarnain. Any recap from Mr. Hafiz?
In my opinion, the current supply of a horse professional through the reverse in knowledge and experience generally meet the demand of the large and some medium-sized workplace. However, the of the largely preventable occupational disease and injury and the lack of the adequate OSH service in the most small and many medium-sized workplace indicate and need for more OSH professional at the all level. The committed also find the OSH education and training need to place more emphasis on injury prevention, and that current OSH professional need easier access to more comprehensive and alternative learning experience.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Hafiz. Again, I would like to express my gratitude to all that joined this forum, especially our three winners, Mr. Hafiz, Mr. Zarif, and Mr. Zulkarnain. It is interesting to see our today's topic being discussed from three different point of view. Okay, I hope that we have the chance to gather and gain and discuss even more interesting topic in the future. That's all from me. Thank you. Thank you very much.